Preparing live stream webinar.
All right, it says it's now streaming live.
Okay. Not sure I believe them or not, but here we go. And hello, everybody. I'm Steve Sandy, and with me is Marty Edwards, and you're watching the AWT TV, Apple World Today TV, and this is, I think, episode 12.
I believe so. We've been thrilling audience, now for about 3 months with video. Isn't
that a scary thought?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure thrilling is really the correct word there.
Yeah.
But it's been an interesting week. Dennis is not joining us today because he too is running through the same issues my wife and I are right now, where in my case it was my 88-year-old mother was playing with my sister's dog in our backyard and tripped over a tree root and broke her hip. And she's out of the hospital now. Yay! But she's down in a rehab facility near us. So, things are about as good as can be expected. With Dennis, was his mother-in-law had some surgery today. So it's been a busy week, but
sounds like it. So I've been very fortunate, very blessed, nothing out of the ordinary going on. So
yeah.
Just trying to carry on. It's pretty slow on Apple news front.
Yeah, it actually has been. We had word today of, some exciting things like, let's see, Apple apparently got rid of limitations on NVMe flash drives, which means that down the road when they actually get the iMac Pro and the new Mac Pro out the door, that people may actually have a choice of those really fast flash drives that they can use as boot drives. So that was kind of cool, but that was like one little news story.
Yeah, I think they're really beginning to cater to the professionals, which I guess I want to include myself in that category, though I don't need anything like the Mac Pro. Now, I'd love to have it, but hard to justify a starting price of $5,000. But I'm more in the geeky audience. Want to experiment and do everything, and, just can't yet justify the other. But I've been studying the iMacs a little bit more, and I think whenever the time comes for me to get one, I'm really looking at the 27-inch top end one because of the better graphics card. It's got the 8 gig. I do like to game a little bit, and so I want to be able to do that. I have to admit, I've already been looking at OWC at the prices of 64 gig of RAM.
Yes.
It's actually not that bad for them, about half price. So
yeah. And that's going to be great compared to paying what Apple normally charges for their RAM, which is, I won't say ridiculous, but it's rather expensive. And
I think to go with the 64 gig option, you might correct me. I believe I want to say 1,400. It could have been 1,200, but OWC it's 600. That's a substantial difference. Do I need 64 gig? No, I don't. 32 would probably be fine, but I really like to run a lot of virtual machines. You start loading up a few copies of Windows and Linux and the such like in RAM, it eats it up pretty quick.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like you said, virtual machines just chew up whatever RAM you give them. I mean, they love having additional RAM. And, I think the most I've had actually running simultaneously was last year at one point. I was writing an article and it had, and this was on El Capitan, I think it was, but I had the Sierra beta running in a window, and I had Windows 10 running in another window, and it chewed up a lot of RAM. Yeah.
Well, it will, yeah. And you can assign as much as you want, so you can really make those machines fly. I really enjoy, and hopefully one night we'll just have, when news is slow, do a demo of some virtual machines, but I might wait for a Mac Pro instead of doing it on the Mac Mini. And,
Yeah.
you know, our iMac, probably not the Mac Pro. But anyway, not a lot of news to report in the Apple world.
Yeah,
as far as any.
Well, one thing I was going to show everybody is here's that 10.5-inch iPad Pro.
Oh, that looks good.
Well, it's kind of greasy fingers on me. You know, get a little bit of smear on the screen, but so far I'm really amazed with the speed on this thing. I've had it now for, I guess, about a week. And what I'm using here is a Logitech keyboard case. And actually, if you're wondering where the keyboard is, it's right here. It uses the smart connector. And you can actually kind of remove the keyboard if you're just doing, you know, drawing work on it, or you want to play a game or do something like that. I still haven't done my review of that keyboard, but I don't know. I kind of like their what they call the Create keyboard more than this one. This one is, as you can see, it's really chunky. It's really thick. And yeah, that's nice. It probably gets a lot of protection and everything, but it's just kind of chunky considering you've got such a small device. Then it has this fold-out stand on the back. The other one kind of folds a lot like the smart keyboard from Apple. And I just like that design a heck of a lot better. It's more like having a laptop. This thing is just kind of weird. It takes up a lot more space when you're trying to get it propped up and actually use it for typing. So like I said, my full review hopefully will be out some point this week, but right now I'm just kind of like,
What do you think? You made the right choice with that as opposed to a MacBook? Because I know you were in a quandary there for a bit.
I will tell you the truth. Like I said, I love this iPad Pro. It's fast. It's really doing a good job. But guess what I ordered today?
A MacBook.
You got it.
You did.
Yes,
well, we've got
did.
major news to talk about tonight.
Yes, we do. And the reason
you've been holding out on us.
Well, it just, you know, the situation this week was really kind of the kicker, because I realized, you know, this type of thing's probably going to start happening a little bit more. And like I've said, you know, even the 12.9-inch iPad Pro with a lot of screen real estate, there were certain things that I just could not do. I couldn't get it to, you know, certain situations. It was like, couldn't get things to happen. And this weekend, you know, with mom in the hospital, I thought, oh, well, I'll just bring the new iPad Pro along. I'll try to get some work done. And I don't know. I found that I was, I think, less likely to do, you know, work on the 10.5-inch than I was on the 12.9. And I said to myself, you know, quit trying to, you know, do these things. You know, I've had problems with podcasting with the iPad Pro. I've had problems with some other things that I really wanted to do. And I just finally said today, it was like, well, I called Power Max. They're out in Oregon. Called them up and said, what would you give me for a 12.9-inch iPad Pro, first generation, Wi-Fi plus cellular, 128, you know, gigabytes, and they gave me a number. And so what I'm going to do is use that to offset the cost of the, it's going to actually be a MacBook Pro 13-inch with the touch bar. So.
Well, I look forward to your feedback on that. And this is all very interesting because, I hardly ever travel, but I guess as the analogy that Steve Jobs himself had used, of course, we live on a farm. There's nothing as handy as a pickup on a farm. We were trimming some bushes the other day, load up the pickup, and, you just can't make a car pickup no matter how much you want to do it. And I think that's the difference. I need the Mac operating system. There are a few things I do. I have an app that I think you have mentioned. It's called Nicecast by Rogue Amoeba software. You actually broadcast live. I've done some things for our church where I broadcast from home, and I need people to be able to connect directly to my computer, to listen to the broadcast. And you can't open up ports like that on iPad. It's pretty well protected. I need things that I can open up so people can connect, run, those type server type things. And just simply that is, as far as I know right now, impossible with iOS because of its lockdown. And so I need the Mac operating system. I'm sure someone else has used this term, but I don't recall us using it on here. I would consider buying a MacPad. Yeah. If they ever had the Mac operating system in that form that you've got there, with the ProMotion and everything, but ran the Mac operating system, that I would definitely, look toward that. But
I agree with you 100% there because, I think that's what's missing right now is that true multitasking capability that you have with Mac OS. And there are just, like I said, I tried for 2 years now. I've said, by gosh, I'm going to make the iPad Pro my laptop. I've spoken to a bunch of users groups on that same topic, and said, it really depends on what you need to be doing, whether or not you can actually get away with using the iPad as a full-time laptop. And I just finally said, I've had it with, I've had it. Not going to do this anymore.
With your travels and what you do, you'll be able to even do like this, our broadcasts on Monday evening or whatever, with no problem whatsoever. From a MacBook.
The only problem there will be that, slow Wi-Fi from a cruise ship.
Right.
But even there, they're getting better with that. So you never know.
Well, I'm glad to hear you did that, and I'll be eager to hear how it goes. And interesting because of what you're having to do and Dennis is having to do. My wife, who just retired June the 1st, 34 years of teaching. And so she's going to be traveling a little bit more. Yeah, I'll tell her. She might even be able to hear congrats to her. And she's her parents are getting a little older and need some help and go out there. They live about 450 or so, close to 500 miles away by the time you drive. And it'll be nice if she wants to take her MacBook. She's got the MacBook Pro 2015 version, which I'd gone through already on our show about why we bought that version. And it is a workhorse. I love that laptop. It's the last generation with the Apple logo that lights up. I wanted to make sure we got one of those because that doesn't do now. And it is built like a tank. I mean, it's not that thick, but it's got the SSD, 16 gig of RAM. It's far more computer than what I'm using here. And so it's a great computer.
Yeah. And, I'm going to, probably this summer we've got a couple little short, I guess you could call them long weekend trips that are scheduled. We've got some one longer trip that we're going to be doing about the time of the eclipse that's coming up. And so I kind of look forward to, having that full spectrum again. Back in the day, I used to bring a Mac laptop with me. In the old days, it was a big Mac laptop, but then I got a MacBook Air and, took that. At one point when I was working for Tua, they had purchased a 13-inch MacBook Pro, and I really liked that size. It's not too big, it's not too small, it doesn't weigh all that much. This, of course, is even less weight and a lot thinner than that model was. So I think I'm going to enjoy it. I probably won't have it for about another 7 to 10 days or somewhere around there because I demanded space gray, by gosh.
Yeah, I like the space gray, and we touched on this last week. I really wish you could get the actual iMacs in the color that the iMac Pro is going to be in.
Oh, I agree. I like
I love that dark color. Yeah. So
yeah, because the as much as I like the aluminum look on the iMac, there are sometimes I look at it and I go, I just wish that they could do two things: get rid of the bezel around the screen and just make it all screen, and including, let's get rid of that little, what I call the aluminum chin down at the bottom,
right.
the aluminum band. If you can't get rid of that, then at least make it a color that doesn't jump out at you with like this one does. Just make it something like space gray, or even flat black or something like that would be great.
Well, this is from our era, and they're still going. There's a Rolling Stone song called "Paint It Black."
Paint it black.
So,
of course, they actually, Apple used both "Paint It Black" and "She Comes in Colors," two songs by the Rolling Stones, for advertisements at various points. So I think "Paint It Black" was the first black PowerBook, and the other one was done for the first iMacs that came out, because they had all those fancy colors. So there we go with trivia again.
Yeah, we always go for old trivia, it's where we're from. So I'm actually looking right now on our site at your news update. You had the NVMe flash storage. And oh yeah, this is some news you mentioned. Apple's peer-to-peer payment system is really rocking PayPal a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah,
making some comments.
Yeah, when they start making comments, they're worried.
Yeah, he basically has said it's not going to catch on. It's too proprietary, and don't count Apple out. For sure on that.
Well, I put the comment in that was in today's AWT news update, and I said, well, what I think he's forgetting is that there are over 1 billion active Apple devices
that's a lot
on the planet. So, not all of those may be able to use Apple Pay or this, proposed Apple Pay payment system, peer-to-peer payment system, but still, that's a lot of machines out there. And you got to figure that a lot of those people, even if they don't have a machine that's capable of doing Apple Pay at this point in time, Apple tends to have a lot of loyalty. So somebody who maybe purchased an older Mac, the thing finally dies and they say, well, I really like that Mac. I'm going to go with the new version. And all of a sudden they've got Touch ID, they've got the ability to do Apple Pay. And then you've got another customer who says, I don't think I'm going to use PayPal or Venmo anymore.
Yeah, exactly. I've said it oft times, but I think one of the reasons it keeps me just absolutely loving the Apple ecosystem is it's the fact everything works together so good. I love getting text on the Mac, and just it all just works together. And even with the things that are coming out in iOS 11, where we're going to have iMessages synced between everything, it's just getting more solid, as far as an ecosystem and everything working together.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I kind of like about the iOS 11 with the whatever that thing is called, the Files app. If anything is an indication that maybe they're starting to push iOS a little bit towards, kind of a Mac operating system. I think the Files app really is a kind of a good indicator of that, because it is a lot more Finder-like than the iCloud Drive app that we've got right now. So that was good to see.
Of course, you and I and Dennis had tested that a little bit this past week, and you could share with him fine, but I could never get your share, so I must need to be on iOS 11.
Yeah, that was interesting, and that was kind of almost a fun experiment there because what had happened for the folks in the audience is I was writing up an article about, well, it was my quick overview of Mac OS High Sierra, and one of the features in there that they kind of keep jumping up and down about is that you will be able to finally share things from iCloud, somewhat in the manner that you can do it now with Dropbox. You just say, hey, I want to share this with this group of people. Boom. And they're able to get in and do something with that. Download it if they want to. They can, make changes to it if you've given them the rights. And so I thought we'd try it out in-house here, and I sent an invitation to both Marty and to Dennis. Marty was coming in from his iOS 10 iPhone, and Mr. Sellers was doing it from, I think it was his brand new iMac. And it was once again running Sierra, not High Sierra. But he was able to not only get in and see the share, but he was able to save that shared file to his iCloud drive as well. So I think that's, we'll probably see that capability. Well, we'll definitely see it in iOS 11, but good stuff. I like it.
Yeah, well, as a matter of fact, come to think of it, I'm opening up your email now where you sent it to me on the 15th. I don't think I've ever tried to open it on the Mac. I just tried the iPhone. And it said opening here. I don't see it anywhere. It may be hidden behind this window that we're broadcasting with. I'll give you that report later here on how it's doing. Let me hit the spaces. No, I don't see that it opened it up anywhere. I don't know. He should have been, okay, I think it put it in downloads.
Okay, so you did get it.
I'm not for sure that it did. I'll look for that a little bit later. I don't know why that can't exactly all right, open link. All right, let's do that. I right click this time, open link. Open link behind mail. I don't see that it's doing it. But I tell you the difference is I do not use iCloud Drive, and I don't think I have it enabled. Here,
Okay.
and that may be the reason.
Yeah.
But it says so that might be the reason. So I'll experiment a little bit with that, and we'll learn what's going
all
on.
of a sudden, before you know it, you'll have a 2 terabyte account.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, if I ever get that connection that will not be named, the 1 gigabyte fiber. If I ever get that and Apple says that you can do basically time capsule to time machine rather to iCloud, then I'll do that. Sorry for the distraction there. I saw a big, huge time machine backup had started, so I just told it to skip this backup for right now. But I'll do that. But I was out driving and I saw all the guys in bucket trucks. They were splicing fiber to go out to the houses, but it wasn't here yet. So work's progressing. Work's progressing.
I keep hearing the folks from Xfinity, they've suddenly started advertising gigabit speeds here, which I thought was interesting. And I thought, okay, that's kind of interesting, but I kind of have a feeling it's one of those, we've got gigabit available, but it's one of those things where you're going to have to pay through the nose to do it. So what they're talking about is they actually have this one called, what is it? Anyway, okay, they've got one that's called Gigabit Pro, and it's 2 gigabit per second, symmetrical fiber to the home service. And I doubt if we're going to get that, because I doubt if they're going to do fiber upgrades to our places. But the gigabit internet is 1 gigabit per second downloads, and I think it's only about 35. Where is it? Yeah, 35 megabit per second uploads, which is better than I've got right now. So I'm not going to complain about that. But apparently Denver is one of the cities, and I'm hoping that when they say Denver, they mean, Denver
Right.
metropolitan area. But that could be interesting.
Well, ours is already slated. I mean, they're selling it and everything. Customers have it. In our little town here, there's a medical center. It's a country medical center, but they've got the 1 gigabit fiber.
Wow.
I used to do their IT work for them, and they do have 1 gig, and it's really handy. It's full 1 gig up and down for sharing X-rays and things like that with clinics. It's almost instant. And so
Wow.
So they're working on it daily. It just hasn't come here yet. I do live out in the country a ways. I've actually written them and board members, and so they know I want it. So it's certainly like I haven't been heard, but it will come. There's no choice. They're upgrading everybody to it. That's just across the board.
That is nice.
Not the gigabit. They're updating everybody to fiber, regardless of your speed. They're replacing all copper with fiber, just for all their customers.
Man.
I think one of the reasons they're doing that, this is a rural telecom, but they're very progressive, and they do have a cable company, and they really sort of push having security cameras at home. If people get the best benefit, they really need fiber instead of copper.
Yeah.
So I'll definitely let you know when it comes. We'll even demo it on this show.
Well, I'm just going to keep my eyes and ears open. Like I said, I don't think that they're going to be doing the fiber to our homes anytime in the near future, because seriously, what they're still operating on is the original cable TV coaxial cable that they put in this neighborhood in 1984. So what's made this better and better and better is just the technology being able to take those modems and just squeeze more and more speed out of them. So even if I was getting gigabit downloads and that 35 megabit per second upload capability, that would just be phenomenal for doing streaming like this.
Right.
Fortunately, Zoom is so good over a slower connection that I can't complain. But who knows what we'll be able to do with these higher speeds? So
yeah,
we'll keep our fingers crossed.
I'm actually, my road here, we are on a country road, is scheduled to get it 2018 next year. But, it doesn't hurt to ask. They might change their mind, and I even told them, I said, I do broadcast for Apple World Today. I said, I could really use this upload, so.
Hey, I was going to tell you, I was pretty happy. We're still kind of a small business, but we don't get the huge number of viewers for this show, or even for our videos that come out, as much as some of these other sites that'll get 2 million views. But I was really happy to see that the High Sierra First Look video had 1,800 views.
That's a lot, yeah, for what we're doing. That's good, Yeah,
it made me happy.
Yeah, definitely need to do more videos like that. So so what's your thoughts this week? Do you think they'll open up the public beta for iOS 11? Is that going to be? They said by the end of June, didn't they? Maybe next week.
Yeah, I think they did. So, Tuesday is always a good day for betas. So
Tuesday is a big beta day.
Maybe tomorrow. Wouldn't that be cool?
I'm not going to put it on the phone or the Mac, but I will put it on. As I told you last week, I've got a sacrificial iPad. It's an iPad Air, but it should run it.
Yeah, I've got my sacrificial iPad Mini. And speaking of which, I was noticing earlier today, there was one website who will remain nameless here, but there was a website that was saying that, the second beta of iOS 11 was out and available. And I thought, that's got to be wrong. Well, I went to see if there was something available with on my iPad Pro or iPad Mini, excuse me, went out, took a look. There's nothing available, so they were completely wrong. But like I said, I won't even name that website there.
Well, have you seen that I think the rumors for the iPhone are, I wonder if they're getting more accurate. Do you see that the glass screen protector has been shown that a company is making, had the cutout at the top? So what do you think about that cutout?
I think, well, it's kind of interesting because I think if you were going to go with a, edge-to-edge screen like that, you wouldn't want to have a little dark area up at the top.
No.
Because that's going to make it so difficult for developers, if you're working on a game, you're going to have to go, oh, well, do I just cut it off under that little cutoff area there and maybe figure out, what I can put some indicators or something up in that other little area on both sides of the cameras? Or, I would think that they would just block out that entire top area.
Yeah.
That would be, but who knows?
I had to admit, my first feel is that doesn't look good, but I had to see it on the phone first,
Yeah.
Apple's always had an eye for design. I can't imagine them going into something that's going to be, doesn't appear too nice.
Yeah, unless they're no longer letting Johnny Ive design things, and maybe they've got one of his minions doing design now. And
Maybe.
I've got this great idea. We'll put a little cutout on the top of it. And then again, that could be, just for that particular, whatever the heck you call it, screen protector there. That might be something that they felt they had to do to, provide some sort of, structural support to the thing. Because when you don't have much of a bezel around the edge.
That's true. I've never been one. I've never liked screen protectors. I want to touch the glass,
Me too. I get these things all the time too. Like, I hate to say, like this one, got this thing from Tech Armor.
Yeah.
And I looked at it. I went through the instructions on how to install it. I didn't actually install it because I don't, the screens are pretty darn good. I don't think I've ever gotten a scratch on an iPad screen.
No, my iPhone never. It does end up in the pocket with keys sometime and other things. I've never had a scratch. And I do not like, for me, the way a screen protector looks and feels. And I don't care for the look. I just want the iPhone.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah, I figure, like with my iPhone, I love the fact that, I can see the front of it. Everything is nice and clear and clean and everything. And then if I do want protection, I'm going to get it on the back. And it's going to look like an old Mac.
Yeah. I've got, of course, mine's empty on the front as well. No screen protection. But on the back, I've got a case, I guess, a Spigen, but I got a just totally crystal clear case because I do have the jet black, and I wanted it to show some.
Yeah, this is actually a Spigen case as well, and in fact, it's probably the same one, except it was, once again, a clear case, except the folks at Slick Wraps did that nifty paint job on there. So, but they actually advertise it as a Spigen case. They do good cases.
I know we're being watched some. I just got a text from my nephew, who's about my age. He's only 2 years younger. He's watching the show live, and I'll have to tell him, stand by, app demo in a moment.
Yeah. Hey, let's go for it. I think that sounds like it's a good time to do a demo.
All right. So let me go ahead and do this demo and get ready here. It's one that I've written about. Put on the reading glasses here. I can see it a little bit better. Well, when you get old, you have to have all kind of support, don't you?
Oh,
glasses, everything, and so.
Yeah, I could, like I said, if I could show you the ice pack I've got wrapped around my right foot right now.
Well, we'll go. Yeah, why don't we do the app demo? Maybe avoid that.
Yeah.
Let me go ahead and get the screen going here and share it. Let's see the movie. Let's do the iPhone. All right, let me share that screen, get the right thing going here. All right, share quick time. I'll depend upon you to tell me if it's not properly sharing. I guess you can see it there now on my phone.
I see it.
Okay, great. All right, what I wanted to demo this week, everybody mostly is interested in the weather, and of course we all tend to be a little geeky and probably enjoy weather more than most. But one of my favorite weather apps, and I've written about it on the Apple World Today site, is Wunderground. As you see the app there, and it is an IBM/Weather Channel company. I don't think a lot of people realize that IBM owns the Weather Channel. They own every part of it except the TV channel. All the data back end IBM owns. And there's the weather for my hometown in Kentucky. That's from my personal weather station. It's 70 degrees right now. We had a high of 83 today. And as you can see, I can tap to say it's clear skies. I love the way it presents the weather. You scan down a little bit and you've got a horizontal, about a 10-day view. There's the past history of the last 2 or 3 days, but there's tomorrow. The red is the temperature that everyone is expecting. I hear a very unhappy cat. He doesn't like weather.
Doing it again. I'm going to have to see if I can mute myself here.
Oh, no, that's fine. All right. The cat has been I won't say declawed, meowed. And so, but here's the weather through the week. We got Tuesday and Wednesday, as you see the forecast temperatures, 89 on Wednesday. The red line's the temperature. The blue filled in area is the chance of precipitation. And so you get a really nice overview. Let's go all the way. It goes all the way through the 28th. And so you can see we actually got some cooler weather coming. But not only does it give an indication of the chance of rain, but we've got a pretty good chance of rain on Friday. And if you look near the top of the day, it says there's a 60% chance. But it says 0.91 inches. They expect a little bit under an inch that day. And of course, that's subject to change. I'll sometimes be watching and see it change. And if you don't like the daily like this, you can do hour by hour for today and like that temperature and on through. But I like the day. It gives a good overview. It's very clean, very concise, and really good weather. Of course, you can do summary. It gives you actual text. But I really like this this graph right here. And I'm looking at, see, Tuesday, June the 27th. That's our 31st wedding anniversary. 79 degrees, sunny. A great day to do something. I've actually already told my wife, I said, if you're here on June 27th, our anniversary, of course, she might be at her parents' helping them with some medical things. I said, I would like to maybe take a little trip to the Apple store. I said, that's what I want to do for our anniversary. I said, I want to see this 120 hertz iPad in person and look at the new iMacs and stuff. And a lot of good places to eat nearby, so we'll probably do that. But if you slide on down, one of my favorite features, you have webcams nearby. That's actual live image outside my wife's office. Right now, I've got the camera looking out her office. And as you can see, the sun's about to go down. So you just slide wherever you're at, nearby cameras. This is our county seat with the courthouse. That's a live image, and they only update, periodically. But these are just that's actually some, they put the Kentucky state traffic cams on here too that you can see. But I have some cameras that are my favorites that I go through. There's one in Texas. I thought it's pretty. That's out near El Paso, Texas. That's at Pecos, Texas. You can see there's windmills out there. That is a live shot of the Tetons. There's a weather camera there all the time, as you can see it there. And I've got you muted, but I can read your lips mostly.
Well, I was going to say I'm going to be there in August. That's where we're going to be seeing the solar eclipse.
And so you've got these cameras all over the world. That's one in Texas and different places. And back, I've got my house as a favorite. But if you choose a place that you want to see the weather, before the show started, I just happened to type in Sydney, Australia, which I don't have as a place, but I'll go ahead and I typed in Sydney and it came up with this weather station. Okay, Sydney, it's 64 degrees right now. But one of the reasons I do that, I love going by and I hit nearby cameras for any place I type in. And there's some cameras in and around Sydney. You can see the town there, a lot of O's in it. And That's actual live footage right now in Sydney. A lot of traffic cams, pretty busy day there. And
Wow.
sometimes I just explore. I'll hit the map up here. I think I've got temperatures overlaid. I don't really need the radar, but let's overlay temperatures. And I'll pinch out and go around the world and just see all these differences in temperatures. But what I want to show you that's so neat, let's leave Australia for a moment and go someplace else. Okay, here's one in Thailand, 87 degrees. I'll click on it and hit view station. All right, there it is in Thailand. I do not know if they have any cameras or not. I'll go nearby and see if there's any cameras. It says there's one, but it's not broadcasting. But you know, I actually tour the world this way. Let's pick some place it's probably going to be daytime. I'm going all the way around the world backwards. Let's go across and go over to around Tokyo. I'm sure there's a lot of weather stations around Tokyo. Here's one right here. I'll just select one. And it'll give me the weather. I'll view the station. It'll show me any nearby cameras. They're in the area of Tokyo. Sure enough, there you go. I figured there'd be a lot around there. And you can just view them, and some people's personal camera just probably looking out the window. But you can really, really tour the world this way. And it's interesting to see the great difference in temperatures around the world. Pretty warm in Japan right now, but you get up in, oh, wow, look at that, up at northern part of Europe here is in the 30s. There's a 48 out there in Sweden. I wonder if they have any weather cams. So you basically get the idea of this. See if there's any cameras nearby this place and in Sweden and such. Oh yeah, sure enough, Norway. There's some cameras there. It's live.
I noticed the one place in Norway that you were showing. It was Sandy something or other. That's very. The last name is actually Norwegian. So, but at one point there that had come up. I thought that was
yeah.
Well, it was probably one of the family farms, you know.
Probably so. And I'll just go back. You have a personal weather station. I do as well. Moose, Wyoming is one of my favorite to look at because they've got a lot of great views of there's the Tetons right now.
That's beautiful.
And there's downtown Jackson, Wyoming, a camera like that. That's just out somewhere viewing. That's probably at someone's house in their subdivision. Look at that view of the Tetons. And so I tour the world like this a lot. And this app is free. You'll have, I think, a banner ad across the top. But I will tell our viewers, if you're listening, let me go ahead and stop the share, see if there's anything else. Okay, you can go on down. It gives you sunrise and sunset. That's for our local area and some weather stats. We actually had 2/100ths of an inch of rain after midnight. Has a lot of weather video. If you're interested, you can even geek out that you see. So it's a ton of data for a free app. It is Weather Channel /IBM owned, and it's a free app. But if you don't want ads, all you've got to do is buy a weather station and submit your data, and you get paid for your data by getting a free app. And
that's why I put a weather station out. Actually, I have to hand it to the Weather Underground folks because back in, I'm trying to remember when it was, probably 3 or 4 years ago. And when I was at TUA, there was a company that said, hey, we've got this weather station that you can read all this stuff on an iPad or iPhone app. And I thought, oh, that's pretty cool. And so they sent it to me, and it really wasn't a very good weather station. But one of the things you could do was hook that up to the Weather Underground. So I went ahead and did that. And, you know, that was kind of my first weather station. And like I said, this thing wasn't all that good. Well, I happened to be talking to somebody at Weather Underground one day, and you know, because they were coming out with a new product or something was coming out, and this guy I was talking to goes, "What kind of weather station do you have?" And I told him, and you know, I said, "Oh, it's not that great." And he goes, "Oh, tell you what, we've got a bunch of weather stations that we used to." We actually set them up at, you know, public events and things like that, and we're kind of getting away from doing that because we've got so many personal weather stations. How about if I just send this thing to you?
Yeah, really.
It was like a $1,200, $1,500 weather station, personal weather station. So I you know, sure. Went ahead, plugged it in. It's still sitting out there, and I broadcast my weather stuff all the time. And I tell you, it's so interesting too, the fact that they will take the personal weather station data and do your own local forecast for that house, so to speak.
Well, I've had a weather station up now, I think 11 years. I started in 2006, I think, and I had a very good weather station. I don't mind mentioning the name is the Davis Vantage Pro 2. Those are semi-professional level stations, and it gave out after 10 years. It wouldn't work anymore. I worked on it, tried things. I kept it limping along. So I got another station. Wasn't quite as expensive, but I've had it up for quite a while now, a little over a year. It works great. And, it is a nice perk that you get two, if you want to put up a weather station, you get two apps ad free. You get Weather Underground and Storm. And so both those are provided. So in a sense, we're getting paid a few dollars a year for our weather data, but there's a lot of data, and I enjoy doing it. It's just a geeky thing to do anyway.
It is. Yeah. We're geeks. Yay.
Yeah.
Well, and the one thing I love about that too is that when you think that all of those data points, because I think these personal weather stations, most of them will update, every 5 to 10 seconds. You think of all those data points that are going out there, and now IBM is, they're huge into big data. They are the big data guys. They're taking all of that information and using it to really come down to much more accurate and much more timely weather forecasts. So, what I would love to see them do is come up with a really accurate, very tiny, totally electronic weather station that they would just end up giving away to people, and maybe, cost $10 per person or something like that. Make it from a Raspberry Pi or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
But they could do that. They, maybe have 1,000 times as many data points coming in. Very cool thing.
Yeah. Well, I thought I would demo that. I've written about it on the site, but
it's a great app.
It is a good app. That's my go-to weather app. And I would be amiss not to add the alerts on there are second to none as far as, weather alerts. Yeah. With Storm, its companion app, which I'll demo another time. They have really good lightning alerts. One of my favorite things to receive on the phone are lightning alerts. And it's hard to find an app that will provide those because they had to purchase that from a company. That's sort of expensive data, but Storm provides it. And so, but anyway, that's my app demo of the week, and I'm sure I'll have something just as dazzling or anti-dazzling next week. But if you want to tour the world and look at cameras, I absolutely love the webcams around the world.
Yeah. Well, it was funny. Years ago, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, I had an app that was specifically set up for that, where you would go out and, it was all these different webcams. The biggest problem I found with it was that a lot of the cameras, somebody had put it up at their hotel or at their business, and they wouldn't keep it running. So you'd have a favorite view, and then after a week or, a month, suddenly the view is gone. The ones on Weather Underground tend to be, for the most part, very few of them are down. They're usually up and running. So, I've gone, like you, that's how I kind of do these world tours and go around. Gee, I wonder what the weather is like in Longyearbyen, Svalbard right now, and I'll look it up. And
I have a camera, and so with the onslaught of high speed and fiber, I think we got a couple listeners here. Now I know my nephew's listening and are watching, and one of my neighbors, a lady, is watching. They actually have the new fiber, and it just, I tell you what, it's fast. They've got the 100 up and down, and that's fast, but the gig up and down, I know, I can't wait. My wife, I'm sure, is listening or hearing me, and I've got to tell this. I had mentioned to you, but she just once out of the blue said, most men at your age are far more concerned about another fiber than fiber optics. And,
that is such a great line.
Yeah, she came off with a good one there, and she's right. And so, but anyway, it still able to do a lot with what I've got, but there's so much that we can do, and I highly recommend that app and give it a try because it is free.
Yeah, I'd give you do a second thumbs up on that. That is absolutely my go-to weather app. It's phenomenal. And Storm's the other one. I had used another package for quite a few years to get the storm maps, be able to take a look at the radar. In fact, let me look and see if I've got it on my iPhone here. Yeah, the other one I use is an app that it's called Radar Scope. And it's a great app and everything, but I honestly found, for day-to-day usage, I love Storm a lot more. And quite a few years ago, not that long after the iOS App Store first opened, I remember I had a Lightning app. It was one of those you paid for, and the thing would scare the hell out of me whenever there was lightning within about 15 miles or something like that. Well, their notification sound was sound of thunder, and you'd be sitting here, and all of a sudden you hear coming out of the phone. It was like, oh my God!
I think I know the app. Was it by Garmin? MyCast. That was one of my favorite apps, and they finally just discontinued it. I love that sound.
Speaking of which, and this is kind of off topic, but talking about Apple Watch apps going away, I saw. Well, of course, we heard the big announcement the other day that Amazon is buying Whole Foods Market. So I told my wife, because we've shopped at Whole Foods for years. We used to be vegetarians. We just kind of got into the habit when we started eating meat again, because they had really good meat department. So we've shopped at Whole Foods for years, and we spent a lot of money at Amazon for a lot of other things. And I said, it's great. It's like our complete paycheck can just go to Amazon now. We could just sign it over, But anyway, one of the things that they brought up, just about a day after that, they said that Whole Foods was going to drop their Apple Watch app.
Wow.
And it was interesting because I sat there and I went, they have an Apple Watch app? I never knew that. So I know I've had my issues with their iPhone or iOS app. It's sometimes good, and then I had to complain for literally about a year and a half about sign-in problems before that got fixed. It's working now.
You talking about the Whole Foods app?
Yeah.
Well, I've never used that. Yeah. So, well, you're right about just everything going to Amazon. That seems like that's the way it's going. So,
I prefer to have it all go to Apple. I mean,
yeah, exactly. But so, what else do you think is happening in the Apple world? I mean, software. What about have you tried High Sierra any? Have you tried it?
Yes, I have, and I got to admit, right at this point, there's not a lot you can see. Some of the features. I did take one volume over here. It has to be a complete drive, by the way. You can't just take a partition and say, I'm going to make this partition a Apple file system, APFS. You have to actually do a complete drive. And so when I first started off, I was going, oh, this is kind of interesting. I'll make this APFS. And then I went back and I noticed it was HFS Plus, which is the existing, kind of old-fashioned file system. So I finally went ahead and I took this external drive that I've got, wiped it out, reformatted it in APFS, and APFS encrypted, by the way, and went ahead, got it working. Life was good. And it is interesting how quickly some of the functions, like if you're doing a mass file copy, it's done instantaneously. You don't see the little countdown timer. It's just done. And I gotta think that in the next couple of weeks to months, we're gonna see some sort of, maybe not a replacement for Time Machine, but maybe a new version of Time Machine that'll take advantage of a lot of the new features of APFS. And literally, I think this would make it possible for us to do, complete backups, and then they store a delta, to that initial backup that are instantaneous. You no longer have to wait for it to do anything. So I think APFS is going to be a big thing for us in the Mac world. And my cat is driving me nuts tonight. I didn't get a chance to sit down with him before the show. He hates me.
That's all right. I got a iMessage from the lady who she and her husband have the local fiber, and the fiber couple, and she said, "I got tickled at the cat." So your cat's being so you need to have Pippin do what he did a week or two ago, just walk behind you in the tail, and it adds a little bit of flavor to the video.
I was just noticing Paul Gantz made a comment. He says, "I have so many Storm and Alert apps, it sounds like a cuckoo clock factory."
Oh, I can understand. So we're getting quite a few views tonight. I think we're up to 3 simultaneous.
Well, what's funny is I've actually had a couple of times that we've done this where I've had people pinging me on Twitter and stuff like that. And I think we're actually getting a lot more viewers, and it's not showing up on that live thing. I don't know why.
Well, a lot of people come in and drop out, and they quickly, when it gets my turn, they just, let's move on to something else.
Or, oh no, Steve's talking again. Yeah. Turn it off.
I tell you, of course, this is probably more housekeeping talk when we're not on the air, but I think what might get some viewers, if they knew at the beginning of the show we were going to demo apps and show more interesting things near the, in the first 5 minutes or so, and not have to wait for it and maybe miss it. And some of those demos, like the weather app there, maybe make those some standalone YouTube broadcasts, just 5 minutes or so.
Yeah. And, the one thing I absolutely think we ought to consider doing quite a few more, like I said, some of the individual reviews or, first looks that we've done are seemingly getting quite a few views for us. They're not getting as many as, you take a look at like this one. Here's, one of the, whatever it is, Apple Park, views, and it's got like close to 1 million views right now. It's just ridiculous. So.
Yeah.
It would be nice, because then we'd actually make a few bucks.
I think I read you get paid $3 or for every what was it? I forgot. 1,000 views, something like that. Of course, they take out. I think YouTube gets a 45% cut. So
yeah,
yeah,
you really have to be one of those sites that you've got a bunch of subscribers and the rest. Paul Gantz makes a good comment there. He says giveaways would help. We'll have to do that.
Yeah.
So if you're watching the show,
yeah, but maybe, of course, we like to cover a little news at the beginning. Maybe we could do, maybe our viewers can give us thoughts on that. If they'd like to see the app demos at the very beginning, to give them something to look forward to, because I'm going to try to do at least some app demo every week, a game or utility. When iOS 11 comes out publicly, we'll have a lot.
Yeah, and I think, you've got a good point there. That's something I don't think the show has really had so far, is a little bit more structure. So that's definitely something we'll take a look at in the next week, before next week's show, is kind of getting, first 10 minutes we'll do this, and, next 10 minutes we'll talk about current events or, whatever happens to happen.
Yeah. I think if I was a viewer of our show, I guess I am, I sort of watch it live, but that would probably keep me at least watching at the beginning to be waiting for, what app's he going to show this week or game,
Yeah. Yeah, and we can also, I think it would help as well if people knew what we were going to be showing, not just, hey, what do you have tonight? Let's show this. Instead, be able to say, hey, by the way, we're going to have a full video review of X, Y, and Z. My wife just pinged me and says, the cat is nuts. Something about my voice, he just.
Well, maybe it's me on this end, but I guess
no, he can't hear it.
Oh.
He can't hear you because the only audio is right here. Hey, Pippin, come on up.
Yeah.
There you are. Come on.
I'll text
Get
my
over here.
friends, and so I was going to just text here that Cat will be on the camera.
Yeah, here. Come on. You want come up in my lap?
Now he
People
won't come
around the
up.
world want to see you. Come on. Get over here. No, one thing I found out a couple of weeks ago when he didn't mew incessantly during the show, I had actually sat down ahead of the show, brushed him, kind of paid attention to him. And it was a lot of fun because he was quiet that evening. And I think I'm going to need to do that from now on. I think he gets to this time of the evening and it's like, you're not paying attention to me. I hate you. I'm going to yell at you for the rest of the evening. So,
well, I think I see more structure to our show. First 5 minutes news, then app reviews, then time, block between 15 and 30 minutes will be cat brushing, and then from 30 minutes on, we'll have a good structure.
Yeah, let's see if we can get him to wave. He's squirming here. And, maybe we can also do a trivia contest.
Yeah.
We'll just ask one question a week or something like that. And for instance, what is the T-shirt that Steve is wearing this evening?
I can see Falkland. That's about all I see.
Yeah.
Falkland Islands.
Bingo.
So, we obviously, even though I guess there's not a lot of income generated for us, we do, I know, get a lot of products to review. And they usually don't want them back, can't resell them. That might be a possibility of some giveaways. Like that screen protector you definitely don't want. Here, someone please take it.
Well, and then I get, for instance, today I got this, it's a pretty neat little kind of portable Bluetooth speaker. It's very shiny looking and everything. And it's kind of a neat little device, but they didn't make the box real easy to open. And I literally had to tear the thing apart to get the damned speaker out. And I was, well, that's not going to be a giveaway, unless we say, you can get it without the box. We'll send you the instructions and the cables, but you're not getting a box. Do something like that. Well, I think we're up to 8:35 my time, 9:35 yours. We're probably running a little long here, but next week we will have a little bit of structure. I love it. Paul Gantz is telling me to get a DJI Mavic to review. And I think I just spent the money that I had put aside for the Mavic on a new laptop. So
probably in 2 weeks, you'll have some thoughts on your MacBook Pro.
Yeah. I definitely will. Yeah. Maybe good, maybe bad. Why did I spend this much? No, but I think
I will comment. Well, I'll give talk about my nephew, if he's still listening. He's been into Mac stuff so long, he actually has a .me. You remember those addresses and all?
Yes, I do.
And so he's been into Apple long before I do. He's all Apple through and through. So I'm sort of a latecomer to the Apple scene, but I'm glad I arrived.
Yeah.
So,
and we're glad you're here, man.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I enjoy doing the show, and I'll get a good app together to review for next week and try to have something. I won't say dazzling, but at least I can demo.
But we like dazzling.
Well, I'll do my best. I tell you, I may revisit. I'll wait until near the time of the eclipse on August 21st. I may revisit that one app. Luminos is sort of a pricey app. But I can go ahead in time and look at the eclipse, how it's going to occur. And I showed you how you can go in orbit. One thing I didn't show that night because I didn't know it. Satellites in Earth orbits, you can watch them, but you can decide, I'd like to ride that satellite and see what the view is from it. Oh, yeah, you sit right on it. So I'm going to revisit that app a few weeks down the road.
Well, I mean, that is totally cool. That would be a fun one to play with. Well, I was going to... Let's see here. I was going to try to get our little outro queued up here, but for some strange reason, even though the app is open, it's not showing up under sharing. So I don't think we're going to do that this evening. We'll just go ahead and say our goodbyes, and we'll see everybody next week. Hopefully hopefully the next week is a little bit less stressful than this last one was. So.
Well, barring anything, I'll be here. So, I've been with you all. It's going to soon be a year, I believe, in August or September. I believe August that I've been associated with Apple Pro so far, and I'll probably have to next week. I've never had to miss a podcast or video cast.
That's it. We're gonna have to. Oh, there it came up. I'm sorry, but there, what we'll have to do is give you your 1-year pin.
Yeah, that's what I had to do, an Apple World Today pin, and so.
I was going to say at one point I used to have a Apple. It was the Apple Rainbow logo tie clip or tie pin, and I don't know where that doggone thing is. I bet it. I could probably sell it for $25,000 on eBay right now.
Well, you saw they were selling the Apple tennis shoes for $15,000. Sneakers, I should say.
Yeah.
In our part of the world, in the rural South, every kind of shoe, like sporting shoe, is a tennis shoe. I don't care. That's just part
that's what I call them.
Yeah.
Tennis shoes. Yeah. Because running shoes is too specific.
Yeah. I never got into. I never knew about sneakers or anything like that. Everything was a tennis shoe. Yeah. And so. But anyway, so if people don't know, Apple actually made a branded tennis shoe back in the 90s, and they've been showing up on eBay for $15,000.
Yeah.
That's $1,500 a toe.
Yeah.
That's really a lot.
That's a heck of a lot. And if you've got less toes, then it's even more.
Exactly.
Well, everybody have a great week, and we will see you again.
See you next week. Yeah.
Same time, same bat channel.
I knew you were going to say that, and we even touch on Adam West passing, because you was talking about how much you liked that show.
I think we did last week.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a lot to fun.
Yeah.
I miss him. Anyway. Well, not that much.
It was a good show.
Okay, everybody, I'm going to hit the button and we'll go to the exciting outro. So have a good week.